What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into the 415ers podcast on the Odyssey Sports Podcast Network. Evan Giddings, Marc Grandy with you as always, 3 times a week. We're here on Friday, Mark, because we are getting set for the Week 13 matchup, the San Francisco 49ers. It will be with the GOAT. It will be with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to get to all of that. But first and foremost, sir, how are you doing on this wonderful, chilly, I might add, Friday morning?
It is. It's a cold one across the Bay Area. I'm doing well, Evan. Good to be on with you once again. This is a game that we've had circled for a long time. I think maybe we were expecting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at least at the beginning of the year, to be better than their 6-6 record. And we certainly weren't expecting it to be Brock Purdy's first career start. So this matchup has already taken some turns. But regardless, still a anticipated matchup. I'm looking forward to this one on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt. Tom Brady is making his 378th career start between the regular season and the playoffs. A guy that might play beyond the time that Mark and I are long gone. We don't know. But we're here to start and talk about the guy that you just mentioned, Mark, Brock Purdy. That is now formerly QB3, now QB1 of the San Francisco 49ers. Mr. Irrelevant is making his first career start against Tom Brady. It sounds like to me, Mark, just kind of listening to some of the teammates from him this week, along with even him himself. He spoke, of course, to the media, as all starting quarterbacks do. He is hopeful to remove that Mr. Irrelevant, I should say, title from his ledger, because at this point, I mean, we said it after the game, but he is the most relevant signal caller right now on the 49ers, and he is trying to, instead of just, I guess, hold serve. It sounds like he's actually pretty excited, and the team is too, of how he can not only just manage a game, but against the Dolphins team, go out and win a game, and now against Tom Brady, hope to win the football game.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about last episode, Evan. How this team, whether, deserved or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. They are fully embracing Brock Purdy, and, they should. You should embrace whoever is your starting quarterback. You're not going to go into any week, any game, any set of games admitting defeat ahead of time. So, his teammates somewhat are obligated to say some of the things that they've said, but also the things that Purdy has done, Evan, up to this point, not necessarily things that he's told us, but things that his teammates have openly and publicly said. It's not normal for a rookie quarterback, let alone for a Mr. Irrelevant quarterback. Like, these sorts of things, maybe we're reading into it a little too much, but these sorts of things tend to not really be the case for young quarterbacks. And I want to, play a piece of sound from Brandon Ayuk. He was on 95.7 The Game earlier this week on Wednesday, and he kind of spoke to that, talking about how Brock Purdy is already taking control of an offensive huddle that's full of veterans. Here is Brandon Ayuk talking about Brock Purdy.
Even today was pretty funny. We had we're kind of joking around, having a little fun during the walkthrough, and he's like, all right, like y'all tighten up, let's go. Like we're trying to get the situation. Everybody looking around like, okay. So we like that about him. We respect it about him. We love that he's able to, no matter what his situation is, he demands everybody's attention and demands the best when we're out there. So we definitely respect that. Even today was pretty funny. We had we're kind of.
Sorry about that. I was going on a loop there for a second. But, I mean, how many young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks who were drafted in the 7th round, the final pick of the draft, are comfortable enough in their rookie year to go into an offensive huddle that features Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams? And I'm not saying all of these guys were, involved in the joking around, having some fun that Ayuk was mentioning. But how many rookie quarterbacks are going up to a group of guys that feature all of those names and are telling them, hey, guys, like, come on, focus in. Let's get to work. We need to get this down before the game against the Buccaneers. That is an extremely rare trait, and it seems relatively obvious at this point from what we've been told that Purdy has it. And that's a gigantic plus on his side of the ledger.
That is huge. And something that, like, and maybe I'm just a bit skeptical about the whole thing. I do love the fact that Brock Purdy is by all accounts, sort of grabbing this role he has now by the reins, and he is trying to get his guys all on the same page. Um, I do want to see it in the huddle. I know that guys can be big and tough in practice. There's a story. Not a story. There was a situation earlier this year. I went down to training camp for the first week, and I saw this kind of little interesting wide receiver competition between the aforementioned Brandon Ayuk along with rookie Danny Gray,
Mm.
who unfortunately we have not seen a lot of this year due to injury. But it was a situation where they were doing like kind of 5-yard sprints, just your simple get off, off the line wide receiver explosion type of drill. And Danny Gray was beating Ayuk over and over and over and over. And Danny Gray was letting Ayuk hear about it a little bit. And Ayuk was okay, chirp, 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 do what you got to do. I'm gonna go run my routes and be the wide receiver that is currently the one that is playing and producing for the 49ers. It's common to me to see those young guys try and maybe not in the way we see a quarterback do, but establish their presence on the football field. And I know it may seem counterintuitive because of young guys talking to older guys, but although I do love to see it from Brock Purdy, I want to see that in the huddle on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that I believe will blitz him for quite a long time. So I love to hear that sort of confidence that seems to be exuding from the guy making his first start in the NFL. But I'm going to be a little bit hesitant when I hand out praise, I should say, for a practice sort of pump up speech.
You're right. There's one thing to do it in a game, another in practice, and another thing to do it in the game, and then there's the performance side of things. Everyone likes to talk about how good he played against the team last week against the Dolphins, which certainly is the case. I mean, he was effective. He helped the Niners move the ball. He made some really impressive throws. The one that stands out to me was late in the first half on the drive that led to that Christian McCaffrey touchdown in the final seconds of the first half that gave them the lead. There was a 3rd and 10 around midfield, I think, and the Dolphins were showing pressure, showing a blitz, showing, I think, an 8-man blitz, believe it or not, or close to that. And Brock Purdy, with the play clock running down, didn't have time to talk to Kyle Shanahan. Instead, he changed the play himself, got some extra protection, and told Kittle to cut off his route shorter. Ultimately, the Dolphins didn't blitz as many as they were showing. They were trying to confuse Purdy, but still, there was a blitzer that came unblocked right in Purdy's face. And because of his pre-snap awareness, and his, him telling Kittle to cut off his route short over the middle, he threw it to him under pressure, completed it for the first down, moved the chains. Eventually, they score a touchdown. They take a lead and they don't look back. So that was a phenomenal moment. But again, to your point, it's one thing to do it in practice. It's one thing to do it in a game where the defense wasn't prepping for you all week. And now it's another time to do it while a defense, and a good defense at that in Tampa Bay, is preparing for you and only you. So this is undoubtedly going to be a bigger challenge for Brock Purdy in terms of what opponents are going to be doing to him. However, I do think there's also a level of comfort and understanding for Purdy this week, knowing, as the defense knows and is preparing for him, but also him knowing, okay, I'm the guy. What do I need to do to feel comfortable? Because I mean, he wasn't getting any first team reps last week or any of the season before that, and he was credited by Shanahan and all of his teammates for preparing like he was the starter. That seems like somewhat of a cliche. Who knows exactly what that means? But now that he knows he is the guy, I think there's a bit of advantage for him in that as well. But of course, the same goes for the defense. So this is going to be the bigger challenge for Brock Purdy in every game moving forward, of course. But I do think that when it got off to a good start, and what we're hearing from him throughout the locker room isn't a negative at the least. I think it does speak to, I don't know, the natural, I don't know if leader is the right word at this point, but how naturally prepared he seems to be for a moment like this. And things can change very quickly, but I do think that he is starting from a positive point.
Yeah, I'm with you. Two things off of that. I think to me, it points to more the culture of the 49ers locker room being able to immediately embrace a guy like Brock Purdy and allow him to feel comfortable enough to speak up, to sort of energize a huddle on the practice field and hopefully, of course, on the game field on Sunday. So to me, it is as much about how inviting and supporting that locker room is around Brock Purdy as well as giving credit to the man himself. That's one thing that I take away from hearing that. Number two, I do agree with you about Brock Purdy's anticipatory throws that he himself, like you mentioned, was kind of responsible for even setting up at times during the game against the Miami Dolphins. To me, what I'm really the most excited about for him, at least in watching him, is his ability to extend plays and his ability to use his legs in a way that I honestly, I mean, I didn't watch obviously a ton of Iowa State, mainly saw him in bowl games and maybe, Big 12 primetime matchups. I remember him being able to run, but not be able to escape, evade the way that he did, I think, a
Mhm.
lot and is going to have to continue to do against the Dolphins. This is a 49ers offensive line that is pretty good. Obviously, we know Trent Williams is on your blind side. That's a huge help. But the rest of the line, I mean, there's a reason that Jimmy Garoppolo was running for his life early in the game and unfortunately got hurt. It's because there's going to be a lot of pressure in the face of whoever is going to be quarterback for the 49ers. And Brock Purdy has already shown me that he can extend a play far more than Jimmy Garoppolo can and might even have a little more pocket presence than I presumed a rookie quarterback to have. He looks like he knows what he's doing in the pocket when it comes to his footwork. And he has kind of, look, honestly, just like it looks to be somewhat of an innate sense of where he needs to step up and step around in the pocket already. That could change if he's got seven guys coming at him. But from what I saw against Miami, even when they brought the blitz, like you mentioned, he was able to maneuver, get out of the pocket, outside of course, that maybe that last drive in which the Niners had a chance to kick a field goal and then ran themselves out of field goal range with a penalty along with Purdy. So there's going to be some learning curves. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. But to me, what is I guess the most exciting part about his game to me so far that I was not really that aware of was how quickly he can use his feet to get out of the pocket.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that that bodes well for him, and the protection from the offensive line wasn't that great. There were many times where he was forced to roll out, and to your point, he did a really good job of evading pressure and extending plays, and then finding receivers, even if it's only a 3-4 yard gain. That's much better than taking a sack. And I think there were multiple occasions against the Dolphins where if it was Jimmy Garoppolo in that same position against that same rush, best case is he throws the ball away and it's an incompletion. But I would say there was at least one or two moments where he probably goes down for a sack in which Brock Purdy escaped and got some positive yards out of it. Now there are other areas, of course, where Jimmy Garoppolo would have done more than Brock Purdy, but that area specifically, his mobility. I'm not saying he's a running quarterback. He's just agile enough to get out of the pocket and force some would-be tacklers to miss. But that is an area that the Niners didn't have with Jimmy Garoppolo that they do with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, but and the flip side of that is going to be, well, if you just because you can extend a play doesn't mean you should
Yeah.
extend a play, and that's something that often a lot of young quarterbacks run into. The first name that comes to mind is Daniel Jones. Like just because you can do something does not mean you should do something, especially his first 2-3 years in the NFL. So we're going to see if Brock Purdy can not only and this is where I do think some of Jimmy Garoppolo's decision making goes a bit undervalued. Knowing when to give up on a play is just as important as knowing when you can extend a play. And we saw Brock Purdy athletically be able to do that. I'm sure that's something Tampa Bay is accounting for, or at least has an idea of entering. So I think that Brock Purdy. I want to see the decision making paired with obviously the athleticism. That's what I'm going to be looking for.